Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Dana.
And welcome to Our Lives Traveled. So today we are doing our full review of our 7-day cruise on Carnival Mardi Gras.
So just so you know, we took this cruise. It was actually spring break. So we went kind of crazy and rogue with it. But one thing I want to say before we get started and go into our review is if you watched our Breeze review, you may have seen where I basically said I probably wasn't a Carnival fan and I wasn't going back on any more Carnival ships. And I stand by what I said. However, as we talk, and as you may already know, Carnival Mardi Gras is a totally different type of ship than Carnival's typical ship. So it seems like with the Carnival Mardi Gras, they really went in and took some of the positive aspects of things from, like, you can definitely see some RCL, some NCL influence in some of the changes that they made. And so because of that, I did want to give Carnival another chance. So I just wanted to say, put that disclaimer out. If you're like, hey, wait, why are you doing another Carnival review? This is because I did want to give Carnival another chance. And as I said in that other review, if they were offering a good deal, I would still go.
So, like, again, this is our first time on Carnival Mardi Gras, their newest ship. We sailed out of Orlando and their new cruise terminal that they have there, which I thought was really nice. So let's just go ahead and start with that, with our boarding day. Now, we have some notes down here, so we're going to glance down and look at them so we don't want to forget anything, just so you will know. So we're going to start with boarding day. So I remember when we went to Port Canaveral, they have a brand new terminal there. It was really big and interesting. It's the only cruise ship that hosts this parking deck. And I remember it was pretty easy process to get through there, right?
So I'll back it up a little bit. So the parking deck was a little bit different because this is one of the few times where we have dropped off our baggage inside the parking deck.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know we've done that before, like on an NCL ship, but Carnival, this was our first time doing that. So it kind of actually, that little area, and if you watched our boarding day video, you may have seen it, but that little area seemed to be a little bit cramped right there where you were just dropping your stuff off, kind of like, you know, the airport, double parking and all that. I mean, it went fine, but I just want to give you a heads up that if you're sitting in line and you're like, hey, why does it take so long to get in the parking garage? When you first get in there, that's where they're having everybody drop stuff off. So it may be a little congested there. And then the other thing, and this is a tip I want to share, is if the parking garage, if you park on deck level 4, that is actually the level to walk into the terminal. So any other deck that you park on, or if you come out on deck 1, you will actually have to take an escalator, I think they have, or take the steps back up to actually go into the terminal. Either take the elevator or park on that deck, and that'll bring you out right on the level that you need to be for the terminal.
There's a little ramp right there that goes across the street. Or across the parking deck to the main terminal area, which is also helpful for people who are in wheelchairs. You go right across there too. So you go right through there, and then once you go through there, you'll be right there where the security desk is, and check in where they check all your boarding passes and stuff like that, and then get you onto the ship. One thing that I will say about that when we did that process is that you want to make sure that your boarding pass is printed and not on your phone. They want to make sure that you have a printed boarding pass to get through there and check all your other documents.
So when we got there a little bit later than our boarding time. So I think our boarding time was like 11:30 or 11, and we got there a little bit late. So what you do is when you go up, they actually have little tables. So in the old days, you may have gone up to like a counter full of agents and done all your work. Now they got these little freestanding, they're like tables, like if you go like to a bar or someplace, like you just stand and have a drink. They're just tables. It's kind of weird. Anyway, but you just go there, they do all your paperwork. Then you'll go through another line where they will actually take your picture for your cruise card and all of that stuff. So no, I will say this. There were people waiting in the terminal, but I think those people had to be people who had gotten there too early. Because once you pass those little tables, you can literally just get in line to go ahead and get on the ship and get your picture taken. However, they were checking your pass, your arrival time when you got to that line, and if it wasn't time for you to get on, they were making people go sit down. So just FYI, if you do get there early, at least they have a place where you can go and sit and you're not necessarily outside, but just know if you get there early, you may not be able to board the ship quite yet.
And then we got on board, and luckily for us, the muster station of where we needed to go was right there on board. So just to let you know, also with Carnival Breeze, They have the muster drill that you do on your phone on the app. Before you could actually do it before you actually get on board. So we did it at the hotel, I believe, before we even got on board. And then we went straight to our muster drill because you know us, we want to get that muster drill over with. Thank God they have this new technology and you can just knock it out the first thing that you do. So ours was right there in Grand Central, right there as soon as you walk on board. We went and did that, and then the rest of our day was ready to get started.
And I absolutely love that way of doing it. So, and when you did it, we went, you just sit down, they walk you through how to put on the life vest.
Yeah, and just tell you this is where you're supposed to come. That was it. Yeah. But it was literally only like 2 minutes. Like, you already watched the 4-minute video, so they didn't really need to go through that whole thing again. And that was it. Yeah. Easy breezy.
Yeah. And I thought the instructions they gave us were clear, so I felt it was good. So, yeah,
I felt like they were very clear. So then, of course, boarding day, first day. What's the first thing you're going to run into? Elevator madness. So, of course, everybody, that's the first thing they want to do is go to the elevator, go to get something to eat, or go to their room, whatever. And it was packed, and it was crazy. So we decided let's go over to the side, go to a little bar, hang out there, because there's no need for us to rush and go wherever we needed to go right there.
If y'all have seen other videos that you've done, one of the things I encourage people to do before they get on the ship is eat lunch somewhere else.
Yes.
Because it's like, I've never quite understood why people get on the ship, and all 5,000 of us need to go and eat. There is just, it's too many people trying to go.
Yeah.
If you do that, if you are hungry when you get on the ship, I would suggest ahead of time looking to see what places are actually open, because a lot of times they'll send people to the buffet when there are actually other places that you could go and get something to eat.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge fan of crowds. So we didn't go to the buffet like Corey said. We went and we decided just to sit in the Brass Magnolia bar and wait for our rooms to be ready. We kind of, for me, the first day getting on the ship, there's just so much going on. It's a little overwhelming. So I kind of like to just relax as much as I can. So I typically do avoid the buffet bit.
So yeah, we did the muster drill and we were on with our day. I think we ended up getting something to eat. We went to the sail away party, which was a lot of fun. Which
you went to the sail away party.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe that's why she was coughing, because she's like, I did not go to the sail away party, you did. So yes, I was like, you know what? This is the first cruise back with like everybody there for us.
The
world, yes. And being on a large ship like this with like almost 6,000 people, I wanted to see what it was going to be like. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the sail away party and see what's popping. And it was popping. Let me tell you, I felt like all 6,000 people were out there at the exact same time. But we had a lot of fun. I mean, it was a giant line dance.
So one thing that's interesting, you'll hear it as we talk about our review, is like when we look back at some of our videos and we see how many people are up there, I've said to Corey, this is not a ship that I would have gone on. It's just too many people. And the way I vacationed and the things that I did, I actually did not feel the crowds the way it made appear from some of the video. Yes, it was crowded at Sail Away. That's typical of pretty much any ship. But as you'll see, Carnival does something that I think Royal Caribbean and even NCL, especially with Epic, we noticed this, has done, where they have different areas and they spread their people out pretty decently.
Yeah.
So you won't feel necessarily as much of the congestion in the individual venues.
Yeah.
So I think that was good. But yeah, I didn't go to that Sail Away.
If you really wanted to see how packed it could get at most, go to the sail away party on Carnival Mardi Gras, because that's where you would experience it right there, versus just being, or possibly in the elevator or something like that. But that's really where it was going to happen. So I went there, and the cruise director was great. He was introducing himself. He got everybody dancing. We, did I don't know how many line dances and stuff. And it was just a giant party. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I was going to say this about the elevators that you brought up. Now, that is an area of contention that we have with Carnival. And it's because the elevators are just entirely too small. They don't hold enough people.
They really are, yeah.
Even though people try to jam as many people on them as they can. But honestly, the elevator situation, I think, was due to just either not enough, but I felt like they had plenty. They were just so small that they just couldn't accommodate the number of people. And one thing I definitely want to put out, because I'm an advocate of this, is that we have people up here that are in wheelchairs, people that are on scooters, and all these things, and they were not able to get on these elevators. I mean, it really just took an act of kindness for somebody on an elevator to say, hey, no, we're going to let this person, on this scooter, in this wheelchair in here. I just saw too many people
I agree.
in wheelchairs and stuff just having to wait endlessly to get on the elevator because they were always just too stuffed to get up there. So I feel like that was disappointing. So I will put that out there as a warning. Pack your patience, unfortunately, especially if you are using some type of mobility device, because you may have to wait a little longer in order to get an elevator.
So let's go ahead and talk about our room.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned earlier about how we were excited that, this could possibly be a cruise that was taking some tips and some hints from like RCL and NCL and other cruise lines in the way that they made this ship. And I felt like they really did that with the room because of the decor and because of the layout and the things that they actually had in the room. I was very, very impressed with the things that they had, especially the look. Everybody knows that Carnival look of the brown and burgundy and orange 1970s
like,
look.
Like the color of my dress was like seriously. So Carnival has always stuck to their colors, but they are very dated looking because
I agree.
They've been there like we've been cruising over 20 years. Carnival has always had those same colors. Like I remember like Carnival Victory having that orange and then all the green and all the stuff
brass
through there.
And,
just but they totally changed it.
They did.
I feel RCL in terms of the room. We
totally.
Went beach colors.
If you would look at that cruise ship, just a picture of that room, you would think that it was RCL. Like very coastal, seaside look, whatever. The giant window, the lighting scheme, like a nice fluorescent lighting, whatever, versus like a yellow, dark lighting or whatever, anything like that. Loved the storage. They have tons of storage in that room.
I always thought that was so funny because now cruise ships have so much storage on them. It's like I could live here, but people don't. Like, how much storage do you need? But I get it's for people who probably have families staying in there, but there is tons of storage.
Because then they have a shoe rack in the closet.
There's a place
the rack to pull up
just
shoes.
to put your shoes on. It's really nice.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, though, in terms of the decor, so one thing Carnival did get right in the older world is that, like, for example, the couches in the room, the material was washable. So it was like a vinyl kind of thing, and so you could wipe it off. In the new world, if you saw a room tour video, it's fabric that stains. And so I will be interested to see how Carnival keeps this up. Because even in our room, and keep in mind, like, I think the ship hadn't even been going for a whole year when we got on. And we still think in their inaugural season. And the couch was already stained visibly. So I was just like, what is this going to look like, 3-4 years from now?
That's true.
So it'll be interested to see how the upkeep of the room goes. But it was very nice. Y'all saw we had the little booth to sit on, which I loved it because it doubled as storage. Again, like we said, so much storage.
So heavy though.
Oh, but it was heavy.
Oh my gosh, it was heavy.
It was hard. If you saw me in the video, it was hard for me to move that thing.
It's very hard to move around, but I love that it had storage in it, like you said. Yeah, it was very nice. I also loved, if you see our room review where we talked about the cooler / refrigerator. This actually felt like a refrigerator. If you've seen any of our other previous room tours, we always talk about how we would prop the door of the cooler where it was housed in open so that it could get air to circulate and keep it cool. They don't have a door on here, which is fantastic because that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And then it has a glass door on the front of it so you can see what's actually in there. Loved that. I thought that was fantastic. We also loved the fact that there were tons of plugs and USB ports on the desk and by the bed. By the bed they have USB ports, right?
Yes.
Underneath the lamp that was there.
USB, but not plugged. So we still had to do our normal gaffer tape, dragging cords across so that we could use the CPAP and the fan by the bed.
Right.
But they do have, so we could plug our phones up by the bed and,
any other devices
USB
you're going to
and
have.
Stuff like that. So I was happy with that. Now, one thing, Carnival used to always be known for having like the biggest cruise ship, basic cruise ship rooms on a cruise. That has changed, I think, with this. They are not as wide, so they're definitely more narrow than they used to be. I don't know if they've made up for it in how long they are. Honestly, I haven't looked at the different sizes of them, but they're definitely more narrow. So that's just something to keep in mind. But again, as with any cruise cabin, I have not found a cruise cabin where you couldn't get around. I mean, you know, that it was impossible to move around.
That's true.
And so, only thing I will say is that your side of the bed was very tight for Corey to get in over by, like,
I was basically crawling in the window.
Yeah, the window had been there. You had no space on your side of the bed.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the room in general was good.
It's a good size.
We had a cove balcony, which you know is my favorite.
Yes.
Now the only thing with these cove balconies is they're not technically as low as
we're
the ones
used to.
On their other ships. So I think, I don't remember, I think this is floor 5.
Yeah, we were on deck 5, and I think previous other coves we were like deck 3 or something like that. Yeah.
So it's a little bit higher than, and it's kind of like, the way they even number the decks is weird. So it's not truly exactly deck 5 versus a deck 2.
But it is higher than what we're
higher.
used to.
And so you're not as close to the water. So that was kind of, but still it's a cove, which means you get your privacy. You are the closest to the water that you're going to be. And
well, what's interesting about that too is before we went, we looked at other videos to see about the size of the cove balcony. So we thought it was like this big, and our knees were going to be up against the glass, you know, whatever. There's plenty of room out there. Plenty of room out there. We bring our own chairs whenever we go, and we had plenty of room for both of us to sit out there and relax and not be all over top of one another, and our knees were not pressed up against the glass. So I feel like sometimes, depending on the camera or whatever that people are using to showcase these cove balconies, it may seem a lot smaller than what it really is, but there's actually a lot of space out there.
Yes, there's plenty of space. You get 2 chairs and a table. And I will say there is a difference I did learn with the balcony doors. So cove balconies, you do get that if you saw the review or the room tour. You get the opening door like that, but if you're in the regular balconies, it's a sliding door. Yes, because we talked about that. Like, why is the door opening to the balcony? Because even though it's big enough, the door is in the way. But I think that has to do with it being a cove balcony, and if they need to close them and make them watertight, that's probably easier to do with the door that you
Another thing that was interesting about this room was also and this is going to sound really weird, but the TV actually was pretty good. Like, we actually watched TV.
And it was a big TV.
And it was a big TV. So that was just kind of interesting and good. I like that. We did like the shower.
Yes.
The shower was really interesting.
Great size.
Yeah, we like
Plenty
that.
of storage in the bathroom.
Plenty of storage in the bathroom.
I know people had said, in terms of the room, the shower and the bathroom just being small. And if we don't get dressed in the bathroom, so let me just put that out there.
Right.
So if you're, with a bigger family or friends, and maybe you're looking for privacy and you prefer to get dressed outside or in the bathroom, that could be a problem. There's some ways around that. So you could open the bathroom door and the closet door and create a little privacy between the main door and the room if you want to have a little dressing area. But the bathroom, if you're solely using it for bathroom purposes, it's absolutely fine. There's plenty of room to use it, but I do understand some people like to get dressed in it, and so it may be a little confining for that. But again, there are ways around that.
So one more thing about the room is that if you want to see what the bed looks like, the sofa that folds into the bed, if you really want to see how that actually works, check out our room tour so that you can see how I demonstrated, opening and closing that bed, which was interesting because Daniel was trying to close it and she couldn't figure out where the lever. I
could not figure out how to put that bed back.
Yeah. But check that review out if you want to see what it looks like, because I know there's very few people who show what that actually looks like. We didn't have to use it, but it was nice to demonstrate it.
And it looks like it's a really nice, it's got a real mattress on it and everything.
It felt good. I laid on it.
Yeah, so I would say that's definitely a plus for them if you've got a third person in there and they are using that as a bed. It seems like it's pretty nice.
It is.